Thanks for tuning in to Swang and Bang. A sling on a shotgun like this is really important if you're ever going to transition to a secondary. Say your shotgun runs dry and you don't have time to top it off and the threat's still in front of you. You can transition to your sidearm, get the shotgun out of the way without giving it up, just like I show in those really slow speed drills at the beginning of this video. And certainly in military and law enforcement applications, you could think about that happening. In home defense scenarios, most of us are just grabbing a shotgun and going. Very few of us are actually going to belt up with a secondary. Some of us will, certainly, but most of us are not. Despite that fact, I still think having a sling on a shotgun on any long gun you set up for home defense is really important. For this build project, this Mossberg 590A1 build project, I decided to go with the Magpul Ms1 Sling and their brand new, super cool QDM. This is a really, really cool swivel. It's not like any others that I've used as far as being able to dump the sling when you need to. I want to show you why I picked these in particular and why I think it's really important to have a sling on the ultimate home defense shotgun. And that's what's coming up next on Swang and Bang. The MS1 is Magpul's most basic 2-point sling, made with custom 1 1/4 inch nylon webbing designed to be wear resistant and chafe free. Available in 4 different colors, the MS1 is treated to reduce IR signature and can be converted to a 1-point sling with optional adapters. The MS1 slider is a 1-piece polymer tri-glide with no straps or pigtails to snag and no buckle to break or jam. This is the heart of the MS1 that separates it from other similar 2-point slings on the market today. The MS1 retails for under $35 and is also available in a padded version. The QDM is a melanite-treated steel swivel with a unique 2-point engagement system that allows for extremely rapid release. The bail is designed for any 1 1/4 inch sling and it's shaped to prevent sling rollover. Though the QDM is a little trickier to insert into a QD cup than plunger-type swivels, it is much easier to remove while still remaining secure against accidental release. I got slings on all of the long guns I have set up for home defense, which is why I wanted one on this Project 590A1 home defense shotgun. Number one reason is it acts like a holster. It gives me a place to put this shotgun so I could use both hands. There are a lot of elements to my home defense plan where I might be pushing furniture to create a barricade, I might be opening windows, I might be lowering one of our fire escape ladders from one of our upstairs rooms just so we could get out of the house. I don't want to be putting this shotgun down. I don't want to be handing it off to my wife or daughter. I want to keep it on my body. Of course, I'm not going to sling my shotgun if I think I'm under immediate threat of harm or fire or anything like that. But there are plenty of times where you know there's a pause in action. There's time where you need to do something to make yourself safer, to make your family safer that doesn't involve a shotgun. And a sling is the best way of enabling you to do that. Another big benefit of having a sling on a home defense shotgun like this is it acts like a lanyard. You're moving through your home at night, you trip over your kid's toy, you trip over your dog, you fall down the steps. This shotgun isn't going anywhere. You don't run the risk of, during your fall, giving up your shotgun, having it slide out of reach, having it slide to the bad guy so that they could use it against you or others. Of course, everybody can come up with these scenarios where falling with a slung shotgun is going to be worse than falling with a shotgun that you can ditch. You can argue that left and right all you want. For me, the benefits of having a shotgun slung to me if I were to fall are way, way more important than any risk that it's going to somehow make a fall worse. Weapon retention is another thing you hear people discussing when they talk about putting a sling on a home defense shotgun. And I brought my buddy Bob here as a stand-in for a good guy with a shotgun. I get to play the bad guy. But before I do anything else, I want to show you that this shotgun has been cleared. There is nothing in the barrel. I can see the follower. There is no ammunition in the shotgun. There's no ammunition in this building I'm in right now at all. And I'm leaving the action open for my safety. At no point is this muzzle going to be covering me at any time. If it happens to cover the camera, it's on a tripod and you are looking at pixels on a screen, not an actual shotgun. When you're moving through your house, you've got the home court advantage. So it would be a really bad situation if you were to end up in a scenario where you were close enough to a bad guy that they were grabbing a hold of your shotgun. More likely to happen with law enforcement or military when they have to go into a strange house and find bad guys who might be in hiding. But regardless, a sling is going to make it much more difficult for a bad guy to wrestle your shotgun away from you. It could even make it much harder for a bad guy to spin the shotgun around and cover you with your own muzzle to get a shot off. Those are obvious benefits to using a sling, but there are negatives. There are definite negatives with regards to weapon retention if you're going to put a sling on your long gun. The first thing is, okay, so now the bad guy can't get the shotgun away from you, but the bad guy has a way of controlling you by using this sling. I'm going to get to why I like the QDM for a situation like this later. The other thing, and this is the worst thing that you can do, is to have a sling on your long gun walking anywhere in your house or into somebody else's house trying to clear a room, try to clear a building, and you're not slung up. You're just giving the bad guy a giant handle, a gimme handle, give me your shotgun handle, to reach out there, and it's going to be much easier to take your shotgun unless slinging up is one of the first things you do when you pick up a shotgun. And that's why all of my home defense long guns, they are stored with the sling all the way open. That way, as I pick up the shotgun, it's a very easy matter of just throwing the sling over my shoulder and I'm ready to go. And of course, if I have enough time, I could cinch it down so that I can hold it against my body and use both hands at that time. But otherwise, it really doesn't take any additional effort to get slung up than it would be to just pick up a shotgun without a sling, as long as you have the sling ready for it and you practice it. By now you might have noticed a few things about how I have the MS1 set up on the Project 590A1. First thing you might notice is that I run the sling off of the outside of the buttstock. I picked that up in carbine courses and I found it applies equally well to shotguns. By running the sling from the outside of your buttstock, after you have it cinched down, it helps to keep the buttstock closer to your body, helps reduce the amount of flopping that you get from your long gun. It might reduce the chance that the buttstock is going to snag on something, especially if you bend forward. Those are benefits that I've already noticed running carbines set up this way on the range, 3-gun, all those different kinds of things. The other benefit that I've noticed in a big way, especially with this shotgun, is that when you transition from right side to left side, say you're shooting around a wall that's on your right side and you want to transition to your left side to make the shot, lean out to make that shot. Look at the sling. It still has to come across my neck, but it's a lot looser. It's a lot less tight than if it were coming from the other side. It takes up a lot less of the available slack that's in the sling if it's on the outside of the stock. And that is the biggest benefit I found to running the sling on the outside of the stock. The other thing to note is how I have the sling coming off the bottom of the sling plate on the S&J magazine extension. If you remember that video I showed you, you can run this sling plate down, you can run it to either side. Of course, there wouldn't really be any situation where I would set this up coming off of the outside. That would make the shotgun want to flip all the way around no matter how tight I cinched it down. The preference might be to run the sling plate so that the sling were coming out like this, but as you can see, if I were to do that, it blocks the WML. The plate itself sticks out into the lens area of the weapon mounted light in the first place, and then you have the sling coming out. It totally defeats the use of the WML. So I run the S&J hardware sling plate in the down position, and what I found is I have no problems with the weapon wanting to torque, whether I'm firing, whether I have it slung whatsoever, because having the sling on the outside of the buttstock holds it nice and flat all the time. If you were to run a different kind of light, if you had, say, a light that you mounted on the outside of the grip and you ran a pressure switch, then you could actually run the sling plate out this way. It might keep things dressed a little bit more, but I've had no problems, and I've been running the shotgun for 7 months this way, put many boxes through slinging, transitioning, all those different kinds of things, and I've had zero problems with having the sling come off the bottom of the magazine extension. So why did I go with the Magpul MS1 for this build project? Well, there isn't a lot of high tech in slings. There's not a lot of differentiation between different kinds of 2-point slings. But Magpul managed to put tech and differentiation in this buckle right here. There was a lot of engineering, a lot of prototyping to get this buckle where as long as there's weight on the sling, it's not going to move at all. But if you take weight off of the sling, you just grab it anywhere and you can slide it, and it slides very easily. Put it wherever you want, and then it's going to lock back into place as soon as you push it. That, to me, makes it much easier to use than any other two-point sling that I have. I've got ones with straps, I've got ones with pigtails, I've got one with a metal buckle that you have to maintain, otherwise it won't unlock once it gets really dirty. You don't have to worry about any of that with this MS1 sling, and because this is Magpul polymer, I can't imagine that you're ever going to be able to break this. Of course, if you were to break this buckle, certainly you'd break any other buckle or metal slide with the same kind of impact. So I really think that even though there isn't a lot of difference between different two-point slings, Magpul's MS1 plus its price point, it's very, very economical, make this a really, really good two-point sling to use for home defense. When I started this part of the project, I wasn't even thinking about which QD swivel to use. I mean, I've got many, many different brands, and I can't tell the difference between one QD swivel and another, but Magpul sent me one of their QDMs to try out, and I was blown away. This is actually very different. It's a little bit more difficult to get into place, but what I like about it is you're not going to accidentally release it. There's no way. You can't hook one side and get it to release. But if you need to dump the shotgun for any reason, if you need to get the sling off you for any reason, just pinch and pull and it's gone. You don't have to sit there and do the plunger thing at all. You can dump a sling much faster with the QDM than with any other quick detach swivel, and I haven't figured out a way that you could end up doing it accidentally yet. Somebody might be able to find that way, but I haven't been able to find it. It's plenty secure for when you want it to be secure, and it's crazy easy to dump if you want to dump it fast. So now you got your MS1, well, how do you set it up? I remember the first time I got a two-point sling with this quick adjustment style. Getting it out of the package, putting it on my SBR, and I was scratching my head, well, which end do I adjust first? It's actually pretty easy. The way I do it, there are two parts to these kinds of sling. The bottom part, I start with it in the longest position that you can get. So I attach it with no slack whatsoever left in the end, the tail end of that part of the sling. And then the top, it's not that important, but you want to make sure that the sling as a whole is too long for you. And then we're going to shorten it from there. So once you get it onto your shotgun, your SBR, whatever, you just take the adjustment in the MS1, it's just grabbing that buckle, and you send it back as far as you can comfortably go without doing any kind of crazy gymnastics. In the case of the MS1, on this 590A1, I use all of the available adjustment that's in the sling down here. But say you're on an SBR, you had something where it's a little bit shorter, and so now I pull it back, and you can see there's still some slack in here. What you're going to end up doing is measure from here to the attachment point, and then you match that length after taking all of the adjustment or all of the slack out of the back end, so that you would end up having it, like that. But with the MS1 on the 590A1, like I said, I actually can use all of the adjustability. Now, what do you do about the top part? How do you adjust this? Well, the main thing is you want to have this sling as tight as possible once you have everything slid down, so that it's going to be flopping as little as possible. But you don't want it to be so tight that when you have it all the way out and deployed that you can't transition to your other shoulder. So that's basically what you're trying to find out. And it could take some trial and error. You want to take as much slack out of the top as you can, but you still want to be able to transition very easily to your off side. And you saw on the range, you'll see again in a bit, where I'm using a Magpul hoodie at the range, and even with the hood in place, even with extra baggy chest, I don't have any problems with the amount of slack that I have getting the shotgun over to the opposite shoulder. But at the same time, it's still short enough that when I cinch it down, it's nice and tight. It keeps the shotgun dressed really, really well, keeps it from flopping all around. And that's all you need to do to get a sling like this set up so that you can get the most out of the adjustability, you can get the most security out of it when you have the sling tightened up. You never know what you're going to learn during a day at the range. And for me, I learned that this hoodie is the least tactical thing that I own that has a Magpul logo on it. It's on the big side because I like to layer with things like this. And between the extra room in the chest and the hood itself, I bobbled a lot of the first transitions that I was trying during those drills. But I went through 7 boxes of shells, 175 rounds, and by the end of the day, I was doing really well. It didn't matter that I had this hood on or anything like that. I was able to make the transitions from right to left side, no problem. But it was a great reminder that everything that you wear, everything that you're holding is going to impact your ability to deal with a threat, and that you should train the way you think you're going to fight, right down to the clothes that you're going to wear. Of course, I'm not going to run out to the range in nothing but my boxers and bare feet with a shotgun to practice that way. Maybe not on video anyway. But it is something that's important to keep in mind, especially when it comes down to adding accessories like this sling. A sling is another one of those things that I think a lot of people assume you can just throw it on a shotgun and it's going to do all the work for you. It's not. You can be so much more effective. You can get so much more out of a sling like this MS1 if you train with it the way you end up using it under threat of violence to you or your family. Just doing simple little drills like I showed in this video. It's going to make you a more effective counter to somebody breaking into your house and wanting to hurt you or your family. I am really impressed with what Magpul has done with the MS1 and this Tri-Glide. It gets rid of all of the things that I don't like about similar slings. There's no pigtail that you have to find. There's no buckle that needs to be maintained. And this QDM, I'm going to be replacing all of my swivels with this because it's a little bit more difficult to put into your gun, but you're never going to have to hurry up and put a sling on. You're generally going to be able to do that while taking your time. But there might be times where you really want to dump that long gun. You need to dump that sling, get out of it. And there isn't anything that's as secure as the QDM, but at the same time as easy to release. So I am really, really impressed with this design, and I'm surprised that nobody has thought of this before, at least not that I'm aware of. If you want to learn more about the MS1 and the QDM, be sure to click the link in the video description below. If you like shotguns, you want to see more pictures, more videos, if you want to find deals on shotguns and accessories, be sure to follow me on Facebook at fb.com/twangandbang.net. That's spelled out D-O-T-N-E-T. And be sure to click right here to subscribe so you can catch my next videos on bows, guns, and other cool stuff. I really appreciate you watching Twang and Bang, and I hope to see you next time.